This is Real Talk with Joel, Gatlin, and
You're listening to
Hayden.
the highly anticipated,
Yep.
amped up, motivated,
Yep.
perfectly situated
Oh, yeah.
Real Talk. And thank you for getting us back in the radio saddle and riding with us on our good little radio spaceship that we have now called the Millennial Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was wondering where you got that from, but that was a really clever name to bring up.
It's very clever.
We've got our very own Harrison Ford in here in
Joey, we're home.
in Mr. Gatlin. He's our in-house
That's my
in-house spaceship mechanic. So, but Gatlin, actually, I heard you have some news for the weekend. I heard you're the traveling man, but it wasn't down south. It was actually up
little
north.
yeah.
Yes, I actually went to St. Louis, Missouri. A lot of people don't just do that on the weekends, especially during the OU Texas weekend. A lot of people would think, why didn't you go to Dallas, Gatlin? Well, I've been down there. It's overrated. And guess
Ooh.
what? OU lost. I'm so glad I didn't go. Best
Yeah,
decision of my life.
I'm so happy I didn't drive down there.
I went to Missouri, and I went to watch NLDS Game 2, Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals versus Chicago Cubs, one of the biggest rivalries in sports history. First time they've ever met in postseason history in Major League Baseball. And it was really cool. They lost 6-3 to the Cubs. We got to let the Cubs win some every once in a while. One of the best experiences of my life, MLB baseball postseason. I guarantee it's just like hockey postseason. I guarantee you that's what people love. Enough about sports, though. You guys would enjoy it. Check it out sometime if the Rangers, go any further in this postseason.
Well, I'm sorry about the Oklahoma Sooners, more than anything. That's sports, but, we're here at OU, it still hurts. It still stings.
I gotta-
after less than a week, it still hurts,
I got to tell you all a story. I actually did go down to Dallas this weekend, but it was not for the game. It was weird talking to everybody last week. Everybody's asking, are you going to Dallas? Are you going to Dallas? And I, honestly had to answer yes, but then I had to immediately follow with, but I'm not going to the game. My fiance actually lives down there, goes to school down there, so I drove down there with my brother, and we stayed with my aunt who lives in the same town, and we went to Dallas. But I tell y'all what, we didn't. We stayed away because we knew how bad the crowds were going to be. And honestly, I drove back on Sunday, and I have never seen 35 so backed up. It was unbelievable. I know our listeners have probably, experienced the same thing. It was
plenty of them went down.
Oh, it was unbelievable trying to get back.
Yeah, it's all that construction.
And everybody was grumpy. Nobody was, when you win, you're happy to be in traffic.
Yeah.
At least you're with your friends. But when you lose, it's just like misery hates company, especially when it's traffic.
There's a difference between losing, though, and then losing to Texas. And I guarantee you, any OU fan that is a true Sooner not only was upset in that car ride home, but literally was road raging and was definitely thinking, why did I waste X amount of hundreds of dollars to come down here and watch our team lose? I'm a little upset right now. And I see you walking by, Stryker. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, you keep walking. Yeah, Eric just walked by the studio right now.
It's disappointing, man.
Yeah.
But things pass. We still have Bedlam this year.
And Oklahoma State won this weekend.
You're
I'm not gonna say anything.
Go Big 12.
You are a sympathist.
I'm just a fan of the Big 12.
Right,
I'm just gonna
We'll-
say that.
We'll let our viewers.
What about West
we'll let our
Virginia?
viewers decide.
They lost. They're in the Big 12.
Hey, I like my
I'm just messing with
I
you.
like my Oklahoma schools.
Me too. Me too.
But no, there was some close games this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of movie related though. But Gatlin, you have something pulled up from a couple days ago for Shia LaBeouf. Is that right?
Yes, Shia LaBeouf was arrested for public intoxication in Texas, and it looks like
Was he in Dallas?
he was in Austin on 6th Street, which I think there's been
That's
plenty of
just as
PIs
dangerous.
given out on 6th Street in Austin.
That was on Sunday.
It was on Sunday, or it was actually Friday night.
Oh wow!
And it says
Last Friday, yeah.
the Transformer star, has had various run-ins lately with law.
Wow.
And that's just another sad deal. There's not too much in depth on it now. Maybe later in the week we'll find out more when it comes out.
We'll see. I mean, but Shia LaBeouf, it's kind of not a reckless guy, but just very kind of beats his own drum.
Well, since the plagiarizing thing, he's
Right.
Yeah, and it's kind of
Stayed
sad.
away from it.
It's always sad to see these actors, their lives kind of watching them derail. Because, a lot of people have struggles.
Yeah.
And but it's really tough to watch it when it's on a big, on a under a microscope. So, but I know there's some other news with some bearded celebrities out there too. So,
Yeah.
What else do we got going on?
Well, Randy Quaid is famously known as Cousin Eddie in the Vacation movies.
Mm-hmm.
He's also Dennis Quaid's not so as famous brother.
I love The Rookie.
The Rookie is a fantastic movie. Randy Quaid didn't make an appearance on that one because Randy Quaid has been on. He's been on a little hiatus of late because he's been in Canada. He's a fugitive of the state of the United States
Of America.
What
of
did he do?
America. He claimed a lot. I knew he was in trouble with $5,000 of damaged property he did in Santa Barbara in California. So the state of California has been looking for him for a while, and other things that are on here that says I remember they say he thinks the CIA was after him. All this he thinks the whole people have been trying to kill him for a while. So him and his wife fled the United States in 2011, I believe, and recently they've tried to come back into the state, and they were arrested. I believe it was on Friday, trying to re-enter Vermont.
Wow.
And if you want to see Randy Quaid, can you give that description right there, Hayden? Just tell him what he looks like now.
Oh man, I would say
It's like a
less. I don't want to make fun of it, but I mean it is very biker-ish.
Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, very Duck Dynasty.
And Santa Claus is
Just
like
in
a
time.
less wrinkly Santa Claus.
Just in time. Maybe that's what he was trying to do later this year. Maybe he was wanting to be a Santa Claus in a local mall, but now this entire situation's kept him from his dream.
Okay, guys. While we were doing our top five least favorite sequels of all time or worst sequels of all time last week, and I promise this is related. Speaking of Santa Claus, I could not think. I knew I had one that I was forgetting, and I thought of it this week.
Oh, really? What was it?
The Santa Claus 2
Ooh,
That was pretty bad.
that was
with
a bad
Jack
one.
Freeze or Jack Frost or whatever his
Oh,
name
my
is.
goodness.
I never saw it.
Wait,
That's how bad
I
it
thought that was
was.
the third.
That was the third one.
Yeah, that was the third one.
Oh yeah.
Either way,
was
they
that the
should have
one?
never made any after the first Santa Claus.
Yeah. I mean,
That was
Tim
a really
Allen.
good
Tim Allen's
movie.
funny, but
Do you know that
he
guy
was-
that's
he
in
was kinda
Numbers?
At the end of his.
Yes.
The actress in Numbers is the elf. He's Bernard in the first one.
He's
Wow,
also
really?
in the Addams Family movies, if y'all can remember that.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of nostalgia right there for anybody watching. Anybody who wants to watch a Christmas movie.
So Joel,
Santa Claus Marathon.
why don't you tell our listeners what we got coming up today in the show for everybody?
Oh, yeah, we have a show today.
We do?
We have a show to
Hey.
tell you to talk about.
Is that what we're here for?
Yeah, I guess.
We're here to lift your spirits after last weekend.
Well, we have some movie news. Surprise, surprise on Avenger stuff, Star Wars, Disney, your usual stuff. However, we also have some news of another movie franchise that has made a ton of money earlier this year. I will mention that a bit later. But we also
Taken 7.
Yes. We also have box office stuff to talk about, and we're going to have a little debates discussion.
We're to have a debate segment.
Yeah, we're
I'm
going to have a
looking
debate
forward to that.
segment. And just,
Can we tease it out a little bit? What I mean, like
let's just say, if you didn't like the prequels for the CGI, you're going to like this segment.
hey, can you assign us sides and we just have to debate it?
We're going to
Let's do that.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that a bit later.
I will gladly. I'm
But
leave it at that.
but the
We should
fun
give
doesn't.
Hayden the opposite of what he wants.
Yeah. But the fun doesn't end there. The fun also goes on with also a movie quiz that you two are going to
This
be
is unbelievable.
competing in. This is a stacked real talk. It's a stacked real talk.
I'm
this is
looking
real
forward to
to
this.
this is real to real
This is
content.
Really, this is really fun.
I'm about to go real on that quiz and bring Hayden down real quick.
Yep.
Guys, the punometer is reaching its maximum
It's tapping.
capacity
it's
here.
peaking.
A lot of movies, to talk about after this weekend, but a little interesting thing going on. I want to go back a week. I want to rewind a week because we didn't get a chance to talk about the box office a week ago, which was more important because that's when a certain movie came out. So
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about it last
Yeah,
week.
we didn't get to talk about it,
We
yeah.
teased it out, and we just got so busy with Steven and all the cool stuff going on in the
Right.
studio.
And Keegan.
and Keegan, but since it's like the second week for that movie, let's talk about its first week. Why not? Because the second week, it's not going to be that much.
And I hate to spoil things, but it's still number one by a lot. So
No doubt. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Number one,
Interstellar 2,
no. Actually, let's go back to number
still rescuing Matt Damon.
five. Let's go to number 5. Let's start there. We have Maze Runner 2 at 7.8 million. Number 4, Intern at 11.7 million. Sicario, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it
Sicario. Man, I just feel so bad. I don't know very well. 12.1 million. Number 2, Hotel Transylvania 2, another sequel. Wait, no, I already went through that.
Yeah,
one.
we're number 2 on the sequel count here.
There's so many sequels. All right, at number 2, Hotel Transylvania 2, sitting at 32.2
Was the first-
33.2 million.
Here's my question: was the first one good enough to make a sequel? Like, I
It
saw
made
it.
enough
It wasn't
money
that
to make
bad.
a sequel.
That's exactly what it is.
It wasn't that bad.
Guys, I feel like if we had enough money, the three of us could write a script that would earn easily $20 million at the box office.
Oh.
I think we could do that.
Sounds like a summer project.
I think we could do that right now.
Right now, a winter
Okay,
project.
here's my idea. It's a pelican who has one wing, and it's a cartoon, and he befriends a guy who makes prosthetic arms for birds,
Wow,
and it's a Pixar film. I think it could go places,
that sounds really
and
good.
we could call it
What happened to your chicken one from last week?
My Chicken Movie.
Yeah,
Dad?
remember the
Oh yeah, you
the
had a chicken.
The chicken
You had a
head,
chicken head idea.
Oh yeah, let's do that one instead.
Oh, okay.
That's one because that one's
based on
based
true
on.
events.
See, that's what Pixar needs. They need a based on true event story.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
You're
so
good, you're good, you're good.
we almost missed it again. Number one.
Number one, we have to talk about this movie. I really want to. The Martian sits at 54.3 million, and that's last week's numbers, not this week's numbers. Obviously, there's no doubt The Martian still dominating at the box office this week. But also, guys, The Martian is just itself a wonderful movie, I think.
You know what
It's
I
one
liked?
of the best movies I've ever seen.
What I liked about it was for being as serious as the content was, it was really lighthearted. Like it was funny. Mm-hmm. There were intense parts in the film.
Yeah.
But there was never a point. There was never a point where I was like, man, this is too intense. And that Interstellar was almost too intense at times. There was never a break from the, all the time.
Right.
I disagree.
You did what?
I disagree.
You liked Interstellar more?
Yes.
Okay, explain.
Actually, I can't explain yet because I still have to go see The Martian.
Oh, you haven't seen The Martian?
I was busy
Oh.
this weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's 2 weeks
I'm
now.
gonna go see it. I believe after I'm not so busy later this week. I'm
okay.
definitely gonna go check it out.
You
And
gotta-
don't get me wrong,
you gotta
I
check it out.
liked Interstellar.
Yeah.
But I think The Martian had a better storyline, had better characters.
It didn't try to do too much science stuff.
Murph.
And it wasn't like Interstellar. I was so confused by a lot of it because at the first couple of the first half of it seemed very scientific, but the second half just seemed like more like fantasy because at the very end, obviously it's like
The space book
the
case.
space book thing.
Murph. No, Murph.
I mean that was a great scene performed by Matthew McConaughey.
He did
Well,
awesome.
he's a great actor, but it was just confusing in the end. Whereas The Martian, I was simply able to enjoy the movie and see Matt Damon do some acting by himself.
But the story's a little bit different, right?
Yeah,
It's a little bit
they're
different.
pretty
It's
different.
not going into different dimensions like.
No.
Okay, so maybe that's why it's a little bit more easier to understand
Yeah,
too.
that's
this,
true.
This film was like less serious and more fanciful than Apollo 13, but I don't know. It's I can't compare it to anything really.
I think it's the best.
It's not Gravity. It's not Interstellar. It's not Apollo 13. It's not that movie where all the old guys go into the space like
Space Cowboys.
There's-
That is a
Space
classic
Cowboy.
Americana movie right there.
or the one with Bruce Willis
Or it's
Armageddon,
2001:
Michael
A
Bay.
Space Odyssey.
or Star Wars. It wasn't like any of them.
Well, it's not a 2001: A Space Odyssey either.
No, I mean I really liked The Martian.
So is it the best Mars movie that's ever been made? Because we got to remember, we've had Ghost from Mars,
John
we've had
Carter.
Mission to Mars, we've had John Carter,
That was terrible.
we've had the one most recently with Gary Sinise, I believe, it was Liev Schreiber. It's on
Yeah.
Netflix. I've yet to watch it.
I never saw this, but wasn't it like a scary movie that was set on Mars here recently?
Yeah, I think that was that. Was
Okay.
It, that one?
Oh, it might have been that one.
It was like Mission to Mars 2 or something. I think
Oh.
it is. But so it is the best like Mars-based because you got to remember The Rocketeer. Remember that Disney movie from the late '90s
Oh wait.
with the comedian. The comedian, I cannot ever remember that actor's name.
He was in
I've never
a
heard
lot
of
of
this.
those 90s and 80s.
He was in a
comedy.
Whole Nine Yards. He was with a. You ever seen The Whole Nine Yards?
No.
Okay, well that was a good Mars movie, but I guarantee you The Martian is probably 12 times better. But it's a good Disney.
The
movie.
Martian is incredible.
The cinematography.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I never once doubted that he was on Mars, and that's what I walked away from the film going. They didn't shoot that on Mars, but you never. It never crossed my mind that they didn't actually take a spaceship to Mars and a camera and shoot the whole thing. That's how realistic it was.
So it was that like
It was that
that good of a movie though that you got lost and that you took like I had to get to where now it's almost hard for me to get away from my critiquing side from the production side of cinema because you start noticing sound, you start noticing cinematography, you start noticing camera moves.
Yeah.
This movie allowed you to kind of throw that all away and get lost in a movie. Was that what you would say The Martian did for you?
I think so, and I think what helped it was that it had some very nice comedy sections to it. It's actually pretty funny.
It was funny.
Surprisingly funny for a story of a guy gets stranded on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Everything just feels so naturally funny. Nothing seems forced. All the situation he goes through on Mars, it's almost comedic how he reacts to a lot of the news that comes through from NASA. Whenever he's like, can I ever get off this? Because he's like stranded on this Mars.
And it seems like
he's stuck. He's stuck. And
I
it's
was
tough.
surprised by Jeff Daniels. He seems like he's in a ton of stuff now. Like he's almost making a second comeback as like an older character actor now.
That's good though, because Jeff Daniels is actually a really good actor.
He is.
Right.
People
He's
forget
very-
that because of Dumb and Dumber. It almost ruined his career because before Dumb and Dumber, he was very respected in the dramatic roles too.
Right.
And I'm glad to see that because I know he the space navigator from Houston.
Yes, he's like the NASA director. And
Okay.
actually, a really good Jeff Daniels film is Gettysburg.
Oh yes.
That was a very young Jeff Daniels in, I think it's like 1989.
89, yeah.
Hayden
So-
Hefner bringing back the Civil War.
So I do have an update for you. These
Okay.
are unofficial. These are very unofficial, but this is this week's box office. Guess how much The Martian made this week?
This week. Last week it made around 54, so I'm gonna say 30.
I'm going to say 36.
You were close, Hayden. It was 37 million, and
Not a
we
huge drop.
really didn't have that many differences in the top five. Besides, Pan was new this week,
Oh, that's true.
and it's a kids' film.
It's gonna
But
make money.
it's a PG-13. It's got a little bit older audience as well. It made
Yeah.
15.5 mil, and it was number 3 behind Hotel Transylvania 2 at 20.3 million.
How's Pan looking? What are the...
Pan. I've had a couple friends watch it. They really don't like it.
They didn't like it. It's on. This
It's
is
such-
IMDb. Take it for what it is, but six stars on IMDb out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know how it is on Rotten Tomatoes though. It's probably around that same low level.
I'm
but-
not a fan of prequels of any kind, really.
Yeah, well, you enjoyed Star Wars prequels.
Yes, you did, Hayden. You can't lie. You can't lie. You can't deny that.
I walked right into that one. No, well, okay, when I say I like the Star Wars prequels, it should be...
Guilty movie, like kind of a guilty movie.
Yeah, it was my
type of deal.
childhood that liked those movies.
Like
I don't
a
think
guilty,
adult...
like a guilty childhood thing. Like,
Exactly. I don't think adult Hayden would have liked those films.
like Space
but-
Jam.
I still
Yeah,
like
I-
Space Jam, even though I watch it now. But
I
it's
enjoy
cheesy.
it now, but it's cheesy.
Yeah, it's cheesy.
It's so 90s.
Okay, real quick, I know this is going to get a little off. There's a movie that came out this past week. I want to ask you all's opinion on it. It's called The Walk with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It is about the famous
Yeah.
trapezist
Oh, yeah.
who walked across the Twin Towers. And I've heard there's been reviews, critics, everybody says that this movie is the best usage of 3D in IMAX in the history of it.
I've heard it's making a lot of people sick because of how good it is.
How real it seems. Yeah.
How real.
But like for real,
yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah,
and it only made $6 million.
It has limited release, I think. That's kind of what's killing it because
Yeah.
it's not released in a lot of theaters. Like,
Really? Why is
I
that?
think it's only for IMAX theaters because of how it was made.
yeah, I think so because I think it was completely shot in IMAX,
Mm-hmm.
completely, which is really strange because it's really expensive and it's a huge camera.
Okay, I have a story for y'all. When they first started releasing IMAX films, it was actually the first Dark Knight. My only experience with IMAX was at the old Omniplex when they had like the huge dome. Do you guys, you guys know what I'm talking about? The golf ball. When they would like,
Yeah, by
you'd watch the
Close by the Sioux Amphitheater,
exactly. You'd
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
the ones on like the lions of Africa or the
or there's a space one.
The space with the arm and the
Yeah,
space
that was-
shuttle.
yeah,
I
I
saw
saw
that.
Yes.
Tom Cruise narrated that one. I remember.
Yeah, that
one.
was really cool.
I watched. There's like Amazon rivers stuff like that. So when I heard they were shooting films in IMAX, I was like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I like movies in the golf ball, but like I don't want to watch.
I
you know.
agree. I was right there with you on that.
I didn't know that IMAX was actually just like a regular screen that looked better.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
bigger.
larger. It's just larger.
Here's a question: 3D, yes or no?
No.
No,
Really? Okay, so what's y'all's reasoning behind that?
you can go first, Galen.
Okay, so since they tried to resurrect 3D, in about 2007. Was that 2007, 2008? When
It's a money thing,
Avatar
wasn't it?
was like the first
Yeah, it
big
was
3D thing.
09-ish.
The thing with that is, who wants to go to a movie to put glasses on and then see things that kind of jump out at you but don't really? Because if you've ever been to 3D with the red and blue glasses
I remember
from
those.
Disney, if you've ever been to Disney or
Spy
anywhere,
Kids.
like things will
Yeah.
actually fly, like almost feel like they're touching you. These don't work like that. To me, it's a waste of money, a waste of. I think they're trying to go creative with some things too, but now you'll notice in movies they'll have a lot of stuff just jump at the screen randomly just for these 3D effects.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just a waste of my viewership money because I don't want to see it. I want to get lost in a story, and I don't want to have this story literally jump out at me and hit me in the face with
Yeah.
stupid CGI.
Here's the dilemma I've run into, and I want to see if I'm the only one feeling this. With these big films that come out, like The Martian, I saw it in 3D because here was my reasoning. People are saying it's so good, that it's so visually stunning. I want to see it the best. You know,
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want it to look the best it can. So,
Right.
because I feel like it looks better, but it gives me a headache sometimes, honestly, just to watch those films.
Yeah, and this comes back to me, like when you mentioned Avatar coming out in 2009, whenever that happened, a lot of movies, instead of trying to shoot for 3D, they would just convert. It's converted 3D, which is terrible, which looks horrible. I remember watching Clash of the Titans, another bad movie, in 2010, and that was in converted 3D, and that looked awful. That looked pretty bad to me. And I'm just like, I feel like every movie this year is going to be in 3D now. And it was that case for like a good 2 years. And it finally died off a bit, but 3D, I just feel like, I know it's about the experience, but at the same time, I want to be able to watch something and get it like a narrative.
Honestly,
view.
I was really looking forward to The Hobbit, and when I watched it in 3D, it just didn't look like The Lord of the Rings, and I didn't like it.
Yeah,
it
it
looked
really-
fake. It looked
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
glossy.
Yes,
It
I
was
was
too
right there
clean.
with you
It was
on
too
that.
clean.
Yes.
Like the orcs.
Yeah,
The orcs
yeah.
and the goblins.
I feel like you were watching like a video game.
Exactly. It felt like it was some kind of. Honestly, it looked like a lot of stuff that comes out of Japan and stuff like that. Really clean CGI look. I just didn't think it fit the Lord of the Rings look.
Especially after the first three.
Exactly, which was really full with practical effects. But anyway,
Okay, so okay, now we're talking about IMAX 3D. Now, when you go see a movie in IMAX without the 3D, how do you feel about that? Because I remember when I went and saw Interstellar in 3D, in IMAX, just IMAX, because
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan would never, ever shoot in 3D. That's just not how, he's all about film.
He also shoots in traditional film.
Exactly, and he's one of the last directors to do it. That movie, I felt like I've bought Interstellar, and I still have yet to watch the DVD version because I do not want to lose the experience that was what IMAX brought to me. So, what is y'all's opinion on just IMAX movies and the movies that like a space movie like Interstellar
Martian.
or maybe even The Martian if it was just straight IMAX? Do you feel like you'll as a viewer, that world allows you to get lost, and if you later on you watch it on a smaller TV or something, if that kind of takes away from that?
I definitely have experienced that to where a movie was so visually stunning that you're almost afraid to go back and watch it because you don't want to remember the last time you watched it being on a little bitty, even like on a regular flat screen TV. I don't know. I don't think it can compare.
That's why I get discouraged sometimes with not Netflix but digital
Yes.
outlets try to find a movie like Birdman. I couldn't watch in theaters, or Boyhood. I really wanted to watch those in theaters, and I didn't get the chance to experience that, and it was really disappointing for me. But at the same time, I do think that digital stuff have their benefits. It's quicker. You're able to get your content out there quicker too. But just to bring it all around, The Martian. I thought that it was a great example of, having shooting. It was shot in IMAX, correct?
IMAX 3D.
IMAX 3D,
yeah.
which is great. I think that experience works well for that movie, but for every movie, I don't think that works.
Guys, we've been having a great show so far. We've been talking about all the different things going on this past week with The Martian, box office, even talked about OU Texas a little bit. Joel, I know you got some. This is one of our favorite segments to talk about because this is where Bry Williams comes out. I like to call you Bry, not Brian. I could keep it short, Hayden W, this Brian Williams guy. You've been making up for it this year. You've been doing a great job. All your news has been accurate. It's been backed up to this point.
Let's
All
see
right.
if I can continue
Episode
that
3.
Here's the thing. If Joel can get through episode 3 with no news mistakes, I say we're going to skip Brian Williams. Who am I kidding?
He's had a long, credible career up until that point, so you know what? I'm not too mad with it.
All right, Bry,
kidding.
take it away.
All right. Well, Real Talk listeners, we have some movie news to talk about this week. We have J.J. Abrams announcing that he has the final cut of Episode 7 done. So it's almost time.
Will they early release it then?
No, they're not early releasing it.
Like,
but
we just got done early. We're just kidding.
He's just bragging that, I got this. It's in my bedroom right now. I got a DVD, the Blu-ray copy of it right now, but I'm not gonna show any of you guys it because you're gonna have to wait.
Here's the question: if you're J.J. Abrams, do you invite all your? Because he has admitted that he's a Star Wars nerd. Do you invite all your Star Wars nerds friends over and say, listen, you guys can't talk about this.
Have them sign.
We're gonna watch it.
They're gonna have to sign some contracts for sure.
Or you make them watch it and then lock them in a room for 2 months. But do you invite your friends over and be
It sounds like a horrible experiment.
I'm throwing me a big party.
Hey, J.J.
saying,
Abrams.
hey, guys, bring it on over. We're going to check this thing out. Because guess what? I got this thing finished. It's done. It doesn't even need no more critiques. This is a director's cut, and it's going to be the theater cut.
Here's my question. How many times has this happened in history where you grow up a huge fan of a franchise and then you legitimately get to direct the next film?
Not often.
Do you want? Would you even want to do that? Because then it's no longer this mythical part of your childhood. It's now you literally created a Star Wars film.
I will say this about that, because what's the reason we are in the industry we are in? It's because we were inspired as kids to get into something that revolved this media.
Yeah.
I believe the reason, J.J. Abrams got into movies was because of things like Star Wars. And, once you get to the movie side, I know this from the actor standpoint. You all know this from the production side, that the magic, the magic, it gets taken away a little bit, but you get to see how the magic works. And to me, that's what's really cool about this. And I think J.J. Abrams, it kind of probably does take away from fandom, but also allows you to get lost in the world yourself.
That's a good point. It almost becomes more rewarding. I know for me, now that I'm getting to do stuff that I dreamed about doing, that I enjoyed watching as a kid, whether it's documentaries or whatever, interviewing, guys who fought in World War II, stuff like that. That it doesn't take away from the magic of it. It actually makes me enjoy that genre even more.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, so we're moving on from one news to a possible rumor. According to the Screen Rant, there has been a rumor going on that Spider-Man costume design might be going back to its classic look. Now, I'm simply saying this rumor for the sake of debating. Would you want to see Spider-Man back in his original costume from the comic books?
Absolutely. Well, let me preface with this. If it looks good. That's the problem with the comic book versus screen. People, the purists always get upset, but the problem is, and I'm by no means a comic book purist, so I don't want to speak, for them, but my opinion is this: sometimes those costumes, they just don't translate well into film. Whether it's Batman, if you make a Batman costume that looks like the comic book Batman costume, it looks ridiculous.
Right. Here's my viewpoint on it. Remember when Captain America was first released? They didn't want to put him in the original suit. He wasn't in that spandex looking suit at all, and it worked. But the thing is, I don't think it worked because of his look. I think it worked because of
the time period.
The time period and who was playing.
It was contextual.
Yeah, it was all together. The character played by Chris Evans. Chris Evans doing it. But I feel like the same can be said about Spider-Man. As long as the portrayal is good, we don't care about the costume, especially if it looks like a comic book. If it looks like a comic book hero that a lot of people grew up watching and reading about, I don't think it'll matter.
Well, I kind of got that with Ant-Man.
Right.
I really was not expecting that outfit exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And especially sometimes when you think Ant-Man, you think the cheesy Ant-Man that you see in the 1990s kind of Ant-Man stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but when it came out, it worked for Paul Rudd. It almost gave him this cool, a little swag to him.
Yeah.
That you weren't expecting. A guy who's you've always seen as funny.
You've always seen him as, yeah.
It gave him this swag, a hero side,
right.
but also it allowed you to see the comedic side of him, and it kind of the suits almost reflect the actors when it's a big time actor.
Yeah.
But see, this is a new young actor. We don't know how it's going to reflect. Was it going to be a youthful kind of look? Is it? And I do think I like the old original comic book look. But like you said, how will that convert to screen? We don't know until we see it.
I think it's going to really depend on who plays it, because how they look in the suit is important. Andrew Garfield looked like a bobblehead.
What?
To me, he looked like a bobblehead. He was so skinny He was
Yeah,
just
See,
so
that
cheap.
was-
slender. He's slender.
That's what I like though, because I, again, not a purist, but I feel like
That's
that
just me.
That captures no, and that's totally fine. I just feel like it, Andrew Garfield, and you guys know he's my homeboy, but I feel like that Spider-Man captured the essence of Peter Parker. This really scrawny guy who just happened to get bit by a spider.
Yeah.
And by the way, my brother is now working in an engineering lab at Oklahoma City Community College. I told him he needs to work the night shift because that's when everybody becomes a superhero, is overnight
I
in the
agree.
lab.
That's smart.
Here's a question, guys. If you could play any superhero in a film, who would it be?
Oh wow, you started off to me like that. I think we had the discussion before.
We did last year, but I don't know if we got.
I remember who
Oh,
I picked.
man, I'm
I
bringing
remember
up
who
old
I
stuff,
picked.
sorry.
I remember who I picked too. It was Iron Man, I think.
You picked Iron Man.
I picked
You
Iron
picked
Man.
Spider-Man, obviously, right? Or was it Aquaman?
I think I picked Spider-Man. Yeah, definitely Spider-Man.
Okay, Spider-Man, and I obviously went Clark Kent, Superman.
Yeah.
So.
See, I think Gatlin did it just so he can get more FaceTime in the film. He just wants the money.
Oh yeah, you don't want to wear a mask.
Yeah,
hey, I
you
gotta
just
put
wear
his glasses on, man.
That's all you have to do. Just put on some glasses. All right, we're getting a bit off topic, so let's move on to the next
Sorry,
news.
I
No, you're good.
like to derail the train
Nah,
sometimes.
you're good,
I'm-
man. You're
Kind of
good.
like Randy Quaid likes to derail his life.
Oh, shots fired. All right, so let's move on to the
we
next.
both
bit.
have beards. I'm just saying.
All right, so let's move on to the next.
And I am going to Canada I just booked our honeymoon flights, Brittany and I's honeymoon flights for Canada today.
Canada.
So sorry, I'm done. I'm done. No
All
more
right.
derailing.
All right, hopefully your honeymoon isn't worth $1 billion because apparently Marvel Studios has announced, there's rumors coming out from the New York Comic Con that claims that Marvel Studios is planning to spend $1 billion on Part 1 and Part 2 of the Avengers Infinity War coming out in 2017
With
and
a B?
2019. Huh?
With a B?
Yeah, capital B, as in billion.
Well, first off, has the franchise yet? I mean, combined, it's only made roughly combined maybe $2 billion, right?
If you had both Avengers movies, it made around $2 billion, roughly, I think.
was that just the film, or see they're
Gross estimate, I think.
So I say they're thinking marketing, they're thinking toys, they're thinking everything.
Well, they can market a ton of stuff from the Avengers.
Yeah, so
Video games, TV
I mean,
shows.
Can you imagine the pressure of directing a film that's costing?
That's why it's two people directing. The Russo brothers.
That's right. I tell you what, they did the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
That I do not. You guys know I don't like the first two Avengers films, but when I heard they're directing this new one, I think it has potential.
Well, I honestly thought the Winter Soldier was probably the best Marvel movie, and I still honestly think it may be the best Marvel movie that's been made.
I agree.
I think, ever since Winter Soldier, I don't think there's been one close.
I really liked
it.
Ant-Man though.
Ant-Man was good, but Winter Soldier was just.
Ant-Man
fantastic.
has a different story.
It's a smaller speculative
See,
story.
and what I
but
like
that's
is I
not
like
fair.
that they're going off into more genre styles with these superhero films.
Doctor
So like
Strange.
exactly to where like Winter Soldier kind of reminded me of like a '90s thriller.
Mhm.
I expected Mel
Like spy-
Gibson to pop out
like a spy
any minute.
thriller.
But then you had Ant-Man, which is the classic heist film and all that. So.
Right.
No, it's cool to see them kind of making these movies their own, which is why The Dark Knight was such a great
But
film.
$1 billion.
$1
That
billion.
means each movie is going to take roughly $500 million. I doubt this is true. I doubt they're spending $1 billion on this. But I'm just asking you guys in general, do you think Marvel would be willing to do that for these two Avengers movies, especially being the Infinity War with Thanos and with the Infinity Gauntlet?
I think they're gambling right here.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
they're thinking this is our big boys. This is the moneymaker. If we put all our money into it,
Yeah.
will the return be worth it? I think I'm gonna guess that that's what they want and that's what they believe. I wouldn't, cause I'm very conservative when it comes to
Spending.
gambling and
Yeah.
money like that stuff. I would never do that.
Right.
To me, it does not make sense to spend $1 billion to make a movie and to maybe make $1.1 billion. Yeah. So obviously y'all made $1 million. That was your
It's safer.
total
I mean,
gross.
you don't need to spend $500 million on that.
Well, I tell you what, if I don't even know what $500 million would look like. I mean, is it like 6 suitcases worth of $100 bills? I mean, I don't know.
It's a large estimate, that's for sure.
You ever seen those mafia movies where they throw up like the suitcase on there and it looks like that's $1 million?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie where the guy actually pulls it out and he sits it on there? I can't remember what movie it is, and he's like, "That's $1 million right there." And he's like, "That's not what it looks like in like the movies." And he's like, "Well, we use big bills."
Oh, wow. Getting fancy. All right, so let's move on to our next bit of news.
Actually, I do have one more question.
Okay.
Was there really $1,000 bill? Was that was the thing, wasn't it? before like credit cards caught on, they actually had $1,000 bills.
I don't know.
I believe that's true because was it you? It wasn't you. It wasn't Grant.
Was it the Statue of Liberty?
I don't remember. We have to look
Google
that up.
that.
Yeah, we'll have to Google that during our break, but don't worry. We'll get to that soon. All right, so moving on from one huge franchise to a very recently big one, Fast and Furious 8. They've been looking for a director. It seems like they found a director. They've picked up Straight Outta Compton director Cary Gray. What do you guys think?
Well, I didn't get to see Straight Outta Compton.
Oh,
I've actually heard it was a really
good.
well done movie.
Yeah, it's really
So
good.
when I heard that this was happening, I was actually, was like, well, from the looks of it, Straight Outta Compton was good. It made good money.
Yeah.
To me, this is a safe bet.
Yeah, it seems really smart for them, especially with a lot of similarities in production. I think they're in the same studios, so keeping it in the production. What do you think, Hayden?
Oh man, I never saw Straight Outta Compton.
Man, you guys need to watch that movie. It's so good. It's really good.
It's Hayden Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
I have a friend from Washington, and he's actually from Spokane, and he says that in Spokane they say they're straight out of Spokompton. So I thought that was
Like people say here in Norman, straight out Nompton.
good. Exactly. And
Straight
his
outta
name's
Nompton.
Tim. So
Where did Nompton come from?
Nompton, I think it's an actual city in England.
Yeah, but why Norman?
I don't know.
Have y'all-
Straight out of Moore.
Have you noticed there's a town in Massachusetts that we went to this summer, and it was called, they call it Gloucester. I don't even know how they Gloucester. They say Gloucester,
Sounds
but
like
it's
you
like
say
got an
Gloucester.
extra syllable in the middle. I was so annoyed the whole time we were there because I was like, you guys are mispronouncing the name of your $1,000
Like
bill.
yeah, I think Gatlin's got the picture.
I'm
pulled
looking
up
at it right now.
Looks like Grover
It's
Cleveland.
Grover Cleveland. I knew that. I knew that from a kid.
Grover
I remember
Cleveland.
looking at one of those at a museum.
Why
Wow.
would they put Grover Cleveland on $1,000
Because he was a
bill?
president twice. That's why. And if you're a president twice, when you're the 22nd and the 24th president of the United States, you get put on a $1,000
Here's the deal. I'm
bill.
still not convinced that George W. Bush was not just George H.W. with a face job.
I think you're wrong.
And a
on that
different
one.
voice completely. All right, so let's move on before we get too far out of track. All right, so I'm really excited for this news right here. Incredibles 2 set for 2019.
Finally!
That makes me so
I
happy.
got excited.
You got really excited.
Can I tell you guys what I did last year when we had our Pixar or our animated episode,
Yeah.
which was a Pixar episode, but we talked about The Incredibles, and I think that was like in my top. It was definitely my top 5.
Right.
I went back and watched it again a few days later.
So good.
What a great film! I mean, that is I honestly think, besides Finding Nemo, the best written Pixar film.
And it was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It's just nonstop fun.
And it had really mature themes, like adults could really relate to it, but
Yeah.
it was still like action packed for the kids.
Brad
and
Bird, man. Brad Bird.
My dad loves that movie. And like my dad, like if y'all have never met my dad's like John Wayne Point 2, like 2.0, like he loves that movie. He'll sit there and watch Incredibles all day.
Oh, he's not Jon Stewart.
It's not Jimmy Star.
Or Jimmy Stewart.
No.
Jon Stewart. I was thinking of Jon Stewart. Why was I thinking of Jon Stewart? All right, whatever. Let's move on to the next bit of news. Brian Williams strikes again. The official synopsis for X-Men Apocalypse has been revealed, detailing a struggle between gods and mutants in Bryan Singer's X-Men movie. So this is just a synopsis for it, but it's a 2016 movie coming out. It's going to be pretty good. I don't know if you guys seen the costume for Apocalypse. Have you guys gotten a chance to see it?
I think I have.
There's been similarities between that and the villain in the Power Rangers movie a couple years ago. So I don't know about that, though. I don't have the picture up right now, though. But, I mean, I'm excited for the X-Men. You know, Hugh Jackman's possibly last X-Men movie.
Hey, that's what he says.
Yeah, but has he even I don't know if he's even cast. Is he casted in the movie? Wow, I feel awful for not knowing that.
I think he'll come
it's
back.
It's just such a large cast. You know, you get lost in it. Like,
How old is Hugh Jack? Oh, I saw this. He's 49.
Yeah, he's
he
almost
don't look
50.
49. He doesn't look 50.
If I look like Hugh Jackman when I'm 50 years old, guys, yeah, you know I've made it.
Yeah, you made it big. And doing musicals as well. All right, so as Gatlin's looking that up, let me get to my my last bit of news right here. This is another good one that we kind of missed during the summer. This is a bit an old one. It's I think this came out in July, but I really want to talk about it. It's Disney developing an Aladdin live-action prequel titled Genies, revolving around the genie's origin. Obviously, Hayden mentioned earlier doesn't like prequels, but what about this one?
Yeah. I like the magic of the genie just being the genie.
Yeah.
Don't mess. That's the thing I don't like about prequels is scripts are written with these established characters, and what prequels do is they try to go back and give you these backstories for these characters.
Right, like Darth Vader.
Exactly, and you know what? And I do agree with that. Where it kind of takes away from who the character is. Now you watch Star Wars Episode 4, and you're like, oh, it's Hayden Christensen.
And at
And
the
then
end,
you're
yeah,
like,
and then
oh.
in episode 6 or whatever, if you watch Return of the Jedi, when he finally takes off that mask, you're like, oh, I've already seen him without a mask. But whenever the original came out, everyone's like, wow, we get to see Darth
Help me
Vader for the first
take
time.
off this mask.
Yeah, but
And then he
that's-
was like this wrinkly white guy.
Yeah, what do you think, Gatlin?
I mean, yeah, live action stuff, dude. I'm
It's
just
live
not,
action. It's weird.
I'm just not a fan.
I tell you what though,
Yeah, go
Jungle Book looks cool live action.
We'll definitely. I'm really interested in that.
That
one.
looks cool, but this a prequel to Aladdin that's live action.
Especially without Robin Williams.
Yeah, I just think that's just
You know.
because no one could be the genie except him. But if they make this all serious and stuff, that's
Disney's
just,
doing this. Y'all, especially in the next
It's money.
15 years, we're gonna see a lot of our old favorite Disney movies turn into this.
because
It's
it's
money, it's
cheap. They don't have
It's
to come
money.
up with new concepts. They just go, okay, let's take Aladdin and we're gonna make
Hey, but
the
this-
prequel.
Well, this is a good thing though. It's a good lesson to teach your kids though. Whenever they watch the movies, I have a better version. I watched it when I was your age.
like what would say, Maleficent?
Maleficent. Yeah, that was
That was weird.
That was
Yeah,
really
like-
bad.
And they did that to Snow White. That's like one of the best animated movies of all time. And they
You mean
destroyed
Sleeping
it.
Beauty? Oh,
Yes,
Snow White.
it
I
was
also
Snow
had
White,
Snow White
yeah.
too. Yeah, that one was bad too. I mean, but Charlize Theron was all right. She was pretty good in the movie actually. But
Yeah, Snow White and the Huntsman.
but everyone else. was just-
Cinderella was really good. But you know why? Because it stuck to they just literally remade
Yeah.
the cartoon. And I'm okay with that. I think that's fine because I think
Don't fix what's not
I
broken.
And
think the Jungle Book's gonna do that.
exactly, and I like that
Don't fix
because,
what's not broken.
like I said, I think it to an extent, and this kind of makes me sad because I think we kind of live in an illiterate culture now. Even though we know how to read, we don't know how to read well. But these cartoons are fairy tales, and they're just remaking them, and I'm fine with that. But do we really need an Aladdin prequel without Robin Williams live action?
Now we have a new segment to talk about here on Your Student Radio, and we're here to talk about CGI versus practical effects.
The debate-o-rama.
The debate.
It's time to get
Debate
down.
decision 2015.
Okay, so guys, over the break, we decided that we were going to pick sides and debate furiously, regardless of personal opinion.
And I'm going to moderate.
And Joel is going to be our fearless moderator. Gatlin has graciously chosen practical effects,
Yes.
and I am doing CGI effects, and we're going to be debating the finer points of each.
And to make this a little more interesting, I'm going to not call out, but I'm going to challenge some of the things these guys said and bring up another example, just in case. Like,
And
say,
can you pick a winner?
I will pick a winner at the end, but that winner has to prove to me, yeah. Well, you just said.
Can we get
I
some
have a great
criteria
example.
here? Are we looking for cut clarity?
Like an example of a movie, if you are able to stop me from challenging whatever what you just
Okay.
said. So if you
Let's
say
do it.
I don't like CGI in this or whatever, well I'm like, well, what about CGI in that movie? And you're like, okay, well that CGI wasn't that good because of this. And
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
All right,
Okay,
real
let's
quick
dive
before
into
real
this.
quick before you in that X-Men Apocalypse, Hugh Jackman is not in.
Yeah, that is confirmed. Now, I speculated it. I didn't confirm it, so I was not doing any false reporting there. Gallon, though, has got my back
Brian
on that
Williams
one. Gallen's got
strikes
my back
again.
on that
I
one.
got your back.
All right, so
hey.
let's start this thing up. First things first, I'm going to let both of you guys, give a defense.
Like an opening statement
An
here?
opening statement
Okay.
on CGI and practical effects. So I'm going to let Gatlin go first.
All right, so I'm going to talk about practical effects. Now, when you go see a movie, you want to see a world that is real, but you can get lost in, but it's not quite real. So when you have practical effects in a film, it allows it to still be real and have real reactions. Because as an actor, it's so hard. It is so hard to act for a little red dot where they're saying, this is where you're going to be getting chased by this dinosaur.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to look terrified. But when you have like a real Jabba the Hutt there, or when you have real things that you can actually physically or visually see and feel on set, it allows for the best reactions as an actor, which allows for a better portrayal on film, which allows for a more believable performance for the audience. And that's where the audience, to me, this is all for the audience. This is all for people to be entertained. And if you want to entertain somebody, you want them to believe what they're seeing. And see, when you get CGI, you're not getting we are real talk, but you're not getting realism. And to me, that's why practical effects are so important to cinema, and they're so important to just movie making in general, because it allows for a better performance, a better product that people are going to see. And to me, here's a very underrated film that's practical effects that people don't realize a lot: Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
It was one of it was cheaply done with a lot of its practical effects, and it was done masterfully.
Yeah.
And if I was gonna give you an example of film to go watch for practical effects, I'd probably say that film.
Unless you're not a horror fan.
Yeah, if you're not a horror fan, but like to give you examples,
Right.
that film, or I mean, go and look at any Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah. All right, Hayden, you're up.
Unlocking worlds. That's what cinema's all about. That's what our art form is about. Unlocking worlds and communicating. And I think that we should use every tool at our disposal to do that. And that's what movies have been doing since day one, has been portraying things that would be impossible to portray otherwise in ways that are cheap, affordable, and realistic. And that's what CGI brings to the table. We are living in a day and age where we can now go to Mars in a film and stay there for 3 hours. We can see the terrain in realistic detail for miles and miles and miles, and we can see different sets. We can see different venues and different locations because of the magic of CGI. It unlocks worlds, and it opens movies to a whole nother range of possibilities that were otherwise not there. Have there been abuses? Absolutely. But have there been benefits? Absolutely.
All right. Well, Gatlin, do you have a response?
I'm going to say to Hayden, that was beautifully put, very politician-esque. I can see a future for you in politics.
Dude, whatever.
And
Hayden Hefner did.
Because he did answer it like a lot of way politicians do.
Yeah.
Which is he really didn't answer it.
Oh.
And he was over here giving points that I'm pretty sure he wasn't even thinking. He was just throwing out here.
Valid points, though.
He did. The point I will give it is affordability.
Yeah.
But it depends on what the CGI is and what the practical effect is. Because sometimes it could be flipped. The practical effect could be cheaper than the actual CGI. And that happens a lot today. People think, well, we can't have a big dinosaur because it takes all this to be made. And then this is what's nice about studio and the studio lots. They keep so much stuff from the past. They've been doing this since the beginning of film, that they can turn the old T-Rex from the old T-Rex head from Jurassic Park and use it in Jurassic World, the exact same one, and on a scene like that, just change up the paint a little bit, change up a few things, and that honestly would cost them less money that they would have had to done a CGI of the T-Rex coming into the window. Like when the kids are in that little globe part, did you know that's what they did?
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool. All right, well, I want to bring up Gatlin's first opening statement about like Jabba the Hutt. You know, whenever they had a lot of people inside that suit. Now, with practical effects like that, there's some hazards. And Hayden, do you believe there's some hazards in that as well?
Absolutely. Safety first. That's our motto at CGI.
Yeah, and like CGI with like a CGI Jabba the Hutt.
You've never seen someone die performing as a CGI actor. I mean, okay, I don't want to say that. I don't know the statistics. But I would say this. Ask Andy Serkis if he's an actor. Ask him if he has a real trade. I challenge you. Go watch Lord of the Rings. Go watch one of the Planet of the Apes films. Tell me he's not an actor. CGI, saving lives, opening dreams.
Yeah. Any quick response, Gatlin?
The only thing I would do from an actor's perspective, if I was Andy Serkis, yes, I'd feel as an actor. And then this is what I've heard from actors from the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. They had an actor there doing all rocket scenes, and it was actually one of the it was Gunn. Well, what's his?
James Gunn?
It wasn't James Gunn, but it was one of his people who helps on the movie. And he's also another character in it with Michael, the guy who plays the blue guy. It's his little sidekick who makes little comments every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's the guy who dressed up in the suit. And the actor said it was so nice to have a guy there reading the lines, and he was acting it out. Like, he was crawling on the ground and everything. And it's nice as an actor to see that, because that makes CGI better. It allows you to interact. But from an actor's perspective, when you're trying to visualize a little raccoon sitting there talking to you, or a little goblin, little Smeagol looking thing, and you see a fat dude in a CGI suit going, like, making faces at you, it's almost, you want to get lost, and you're like, back of your mind, you're just thinking, this is a fat guy in a suit, and I'm supposed to be like in character. I'd almost rather just be talking and in my mind making up what I think I'm seeing, instead of saying, well, Andy Serkis, your sweat line is showing on your gut.
Well, speaking of like sweat lines in general, like the Jabba the Hutt suit, I keep bringing that up because that's just terrible. Being in that suit for that long with a lot of people, that's very hazardous. What do you think about that, Gatlin? Like,
I do think it. There's hazards everywhere on a production though.
Right.
There's so many contracts you sign. There's so many things they have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
We see it all the time. There's accidents.
So
There's people who die on set a lot, and it is a sad thing that happens because people are reckless with what they're thinking, and they're having people stay in suits like that. Luckily, in this day and age, there's a lot more laws that we have to follow now, and people are more aware. People care. It's almost like people care more about the people making the movie than the actual movie themselves. If you've ever been on set more recently, it feels that way. But then again, I've never been on a big Hollywood set, so sometimes on the lesser people in like on the crew or even just the cast may not feel like that. They may feel like, oh yeah, I'm a body to them.
Yeah, and there's cases where CGI prevents stuff like that from happening, like accidents on set. It's a huge deal. It gets talked around a lot, but it really is a big deal. But Hayden, any examples of like where CGI surpasses practical effects? Could you think of any from the top of your head?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just from what we've been talking about, I'd say The Martian, the CGI in The Martian is unbelievable, and I think it does some really cool things that would be impossible in any other way to do. Another good example would be films like Lord of the Rings, but again, I will give practical effects this. It's a lot of times in the combination of the two. And again, the politician thing, but I think it's in the combination of the two that you get a lot of the benefit of both sides.
Yeah.
CGI by itself, I will say that CGI, man, I'm not even arguing very well for this. I'm getting all compromisey, but I will say this. I think CGI in and of itself can be gimmicky, and I've said this many times while I'm watching a film. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, we should just watch an animated film.
Yeah.
However, I think when you use it to unlock practical effects and make them more real, I think that's where the benefit is.
See, there's one thing too about practical effects versus CGI. Like he said, the compromise with him, if you ever seen a movie where they kind of use both, it almost works beautifully sometimes. Like, most of the time it does work beautifully.
It's the best of both worlds.
But, okay, in Interstellar, then we're kind of going Martian Interstellar thing here. In Interstellar, Christopher Nolan is a huge believer in practical effects.
Yeah.
That whole set, everything, the spaceship, everything, besides the green screen.
Yeah.
But they didn't even really look at that. They didn't even have, sometimes they had like backdrops for them to see instead of this green screen.
Yeah.
The whole spaceship moving, those robots, there was a guy in the robot. There was actually an actor. I believe it is an actor who played, I want to say Uncle Rico, look a lot like him. But I'm not really 100% sure on that. I had to look that up. It's so cool because it allowed the actors to feel immersed. And I remember watching a documentary on Anne Hathaway, Matthew McConaughey, all these actors said to them it felt like they were going through the situation. And if that wouldn't have been there, like, I honestly don't feel like the movie would have been as, we wouldn't have got the reactions. And that's why I keep going back to the performance. But I honestly felt like the scene, the setup, the spaceship was actually shaking because they were in something that causes that, not CGI or.
But I'll bring up something just to be sort of a sympathy towards CGI. Student films, students or like people in the indies, like in independent movies, like they don't have the same budget as these larger movies, and so they can't afford these huge production sets. So that's why they end up using CGI, and that's not a bad thing. But do you think that that's still not a good example of why CGI do you think that's the reason why CGI is better or not, Hayden?
I think that's definitely a factor, but I think CGI brings a lot of things again to the table that would otherwise be impossible or very difficult to do. I mean, painted backdrops are cool, but you can only do so much with painted backdrops. I think CGI, again, unlocks worlds that would otherwise be impossible. I'm not a huge fan of the solely CGI character, necessarily. And I'm backtracking so bad on this debate. But, like,
go ahead.
I'm not a huge fan of, like, the exclusively CGI character. But I think CGI brings something to the table that would otherwise be impossible, which is practical effects. And I think practical effects have we've seen them used exclusively in movies in the 80s, and they were cheesy. I mean, Star Wars Episode 4 was so cool. Like, A New Hope was so cool. But you release that nowadays and it's ridiculous. But here's the deal: CGI now will be ridiculous in 30 years. But again, Star Wars was cool because it was groundbreaking. The effects they used was the CGI of its day.
But you see things like practical effects and CGI, how fast they improved. Practical effects back in its early days looked like practical effects. But when it was in its heyday, it looked real. Whereas CGI in its early days looked fake. But today, I mean, there's some exceptions, of course, but CGI today looks pretty good. It looks pretty real, looks pretty good.
And that comes with technology.
And that comes with technology as well. And that's just a progression of both of them going further along, whereas practical effects is kind of like hitting its stopping point. But I was kind of hoping you guys would like throw some jabs at each other, man.
I couldn't do it because Hayden's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And the
Same
other thing
here.
is, I'm not a huge hater on CGI.
Yeah.
I'm not like a strong proponent of practical effects, but I do believe that, you know, the realism in movies should be there.
Yeah.
With practical effects, but this is a politician thing of me. I do like the compromise you see of CGI and practical effects
Exactly.
in movies.
Man, I feel so
I
bad.
believe in a world where CGI and practical effects can come together.
I feel so bad. We hyped this up to be a big debate, and then I get in here and I'm like, I can't do it. Because I love the fact that you combine both.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like watching exclusively practical effects stuff. I'll say that, but exclusively CGI stuff can be just as bad. I think it's the marriage of the two.
I will say this.
Man, this is so...
Hayden started off really strong, but when he started to get into the details, Gatling came up with so many different details, and Hayden, you know, like he said himself, he had to backtrack a bit. So this has got to go to Gatlin.
I've still never won. No, did I win something last season?
You won like the second last week, I think.
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't beat Steven, though, did I?
No.
I beat...
No one beat
Who did I
Steven.
beat? Did
You
I beat
won.
Joel?
I think you beat me because I got overconfident.
I've been looking forward to this all day. Joel, we came in the studio. Joel says, "Hey, I got a quiz for y'all today."
Yeah, it's Hayden's second chance to prove himself to Gatlin. Now, this one is going to be a fun one. We've never done movie quizzes, so this should be really fun. Now, can I deliver them in the same way the actors did? Probably not, but I will do my very best. But are you guys ready?
I'm so excited about this.
Hayden's excited about a lot.
It needs to be said that I have never yet beaten Gatlin in anything. Even in our last segment, I thought, okay, this is my chance to beat Gatlin in something. So there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah, there
a lot
is.
of pride. This
There's a
is
lot
the
of pride.
Red River rivalry
Oh, don't mention
of.
Red River
I'm so
Shootout
sorry.
now. They changed the name.
Oh.
You gotta remember that.
Is it really?
They did?
Yeah, it's Red River Shootout.
Oh, what?
They're RRS. I know. Red River Rivalry, because when I was a kid, I'd be like, Red River
It rolled
Rivalry.
off your tongue.
It's like Russell Westbrook. Have you always heard of
Russell-
I always say what?
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook, yeah. Russell Westbrook with the slam. All right.
All right, it's Bedlam, baby.
It's Bedlam. Let's get this started. Each of you will get 5 questions. If we do come to a tiebreaker, there is one last optional question.
Do we have a chance to steal?
You will have a chance to steal if they get it wrong.
Okay.
All right. So first, I'm going to go back and forth. That
Okay.
way, you both get an opportunity to do a steal, possibly. So I'm going to start off with my friend Gatlin, and
Hear that, friend?
Yeah, he's probably going to say, I'm and my other co-host, Hayden, who's sitting here.
well, my good friend. And I'm kidding.
Joe, how long have we known each other?
Oh, since
I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the show. How long
I
have
think
we...
we've probably talked about this before. Since 8th grade. Not 8th grade, 3rd grade probably.
Yeah, it was whenever you started coming to Capitol Hill.
That was like 12 years ago.
And I met you guys like 6 minutes ago, so this is really cool.
Yeah, Gatlin just walked into the
Joel
show.
is already better friends with Gatlin than he was with me. I just want to throw that out there anyway.
Nah,
Sorry, Joel.
there's just more.
It's when you were growing
There's
up
just more.
Creekside, right?
No, it's
We'll tell that story sometime. Go ahead, Joel. Go ahead.
All right, that's actually a good story. We might
That is a good
We might
story.
tell that soon, but not today. Today is not the day. All right, so Gatlin, are you ready for your first question?
That was Lord of the Rings: The Return
I'm
of the King.
ready.
Huh? There was. Wow, I didn't even notice.
Did I
that.
get a point for that?
No.
Not yet.
All right. So Gatlin, this is the quote. Roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Do you want to answer that completely, or do you want a multiple choice?
Dude, is there a benefit to answering?
Okay, so like I have options if I want to just go without. Yeah, is there benefits without me?
Not
answering?
really,
Okay,
no.
so give me the choices.
All right, I'll give you the choices. Choices are Terminator 2, Up, Back to the Future, or Superman.
Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
Gatlin gets one.
Boom!
All
I'm
right.
on the board, boys.
That's all right. That's all right, Hayden. Hayden, you still have another chance. There's plenty of questions left. All right, so this one's for you, Hayden. Have fun storming the castle. Your choices are.
It's The Princess Bride.
Your choices are Monty Python, The Holy Grail, Spaceballs, The Princess Bride, and Willy Wonka and the
Have
Chocolate
fun
Factory.
storming the castle.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So see, both of you get a similar easy one.
Yeah,
So,
That was
I'm
a
throwing-
good
I'm throwing some softballs.
softball at the park.
I don't know
questions.
if Galen will get this one though. All right. Let's see.
Ooh,
Let's see
he's
this
calling me out.
one. All right.
His good friend Gatlin.
All right. Here we go. Quote: "I'll have what she's having." End quote.
I know what movie that is. You don't have to tell me. When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry Met Sally. Galen, you are correct.
Thank you. Rob Reiner's mother is the one who delivered that line.
Yeah. Oh, even more.
That's a bonus one, right?
No, not today. Not today. We gotta get through this one first, and we'll see how it goes. All right, Hayden, you're next. This
Oh
one's-
no.
This one's not that bad. This is another softy one, I think.
Okay.
Quote: "There's no place like home." End quote. Your choices are Star
Oh,
Wars.
there's no place like home?
Yes.
Oh.
Choices are Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, Good Will Hunting, Wizard of Oz, or The Matrix.
Wizard of Oz.
Can you deliver it the same way Dorothy did?
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
There's no place like home.
not-
That's
Can't-
what I
we're not
rock
in
back and forth
Kansas
and say
anymore.
that during finals week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, Gatlin, you're up. All right. Okay, quote: "Even the smallest person can change the universe." End quote. Your choices are The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Jungle Book, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, or Planet of the Apes.
Well, I know who would have loved this one right now. It would have been Hayden.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Lord of the Rings, baby.
Yeah, and you're correct. See, I didn't want to give that one to Hayden because he knows plenty of.
Hey, when I had my jaw surgery back in December, I watched all three Lord of the Rings
That's such
in
extended
one day.
editions?
In one day, the extended editions.
Oh,
wow.
th-
I
that's
started
the
at
best.
9 a.m. and I got done at 9 o'clock at night.
How awesome of an experience that is to change the DVDs out. It's like it's the perfect chance to refill the popcorn and.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, I couldn't eat, but
Oh.
to remake the shakes, baby.
All right, Hayden, you're.
Hit up Brahms.
Oh, I'm actually thinking.
Dude, a
of Brahms
milkshake
right now.
sounds
I'm actually
so
thinking of milkshakes right now. Don't
So
even,
good.
don't get me started.
Hey, can that be the prize?
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe.
We'll
yeah.
see. We'll see. Right
That
after
doesn't
the
do much
show.
for me.
Right after the show. Hey, I'm throwing a lot of maybes. I feel awful, by the way. But we have to move on. I'm sorry, Hayden.
Okay,
I'll-
I'm ready for this next one.
All right, cool.
So the score is 2-2 as of right now.
2-2. Wait,
3-2.
3-2. He just got one, so you have a
That
chance
was
to
my
tie.
third
Oh,
question.
okay, okay.
If you
I'm right. I was-
both, if both of you guys get all your questions right, I'm done. All right, Hayden, you're up.
I'm ready.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
That's Braveheart.
All right, it's tied up 3-3.
Hey, he's giving us some softballs.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you that.
I thought these were harder, man. I didn't think they were hard for me, but I mean,
Oh.
Oh.
Wow, that was a backhanded
you guys
compliment.
need to make one for me. I just feel like. I
All
need-
right.
I need to
Okay,
be
okay,
challenged.
challenge accepted.
How many quizzes did I take last year? It was like one.
Two.
And I beat you.
And you beat me one. Yeah, you beat me at one, but I won the other. I think it was a Star Wars quiz too.
Yeah, I was giving the Star Wars.
And
quiz.
Max, I think
so
he
I'm
had- I think that was-
undefeated. Oh, never mind.
That was the one with Max, I think.
Yep.
Joel did beat me once.
We need to have him back on the show, by the way. All right, next question for Gatlin. This is the final. Is this the final one? No, this is the fourth one. All right, so show me the money.
Show me now the way you delivered it, or the way it was delivered in the movie.
Probably the way it was supposed to deliver it.
Show me the money, Jerry, from Jerry Maguire, Cuba Gooding Jr.
All right,
Boom, baby.
all right. He's got that one. That one was pretty good. I mean,
I was like,
my
at first
way,
I was like,
my line
Godfather?
delivery, my line.
Show me the. I've
Show
never
me
seen,
the money. He can make him an offer.
I
Alright.
can't do it. That's just. I don't. I've never seen the film, so never mind. Go ahead, Joel. I'm ready.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Quote goes, "I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way." End quote. Do you want your choices, or are you confident?
Yeah, I want to. Say, I've never seen this film, but I want to say it's Roger Rabbit. But go ahead.
Your choices are Pinocchio, Lion King, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
I'm gonna say Roger Rabbit.
You're right.
Oh, baby, comes down to the final question.
I'm going to need.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, we should come up with some more questions here.
I'm pretty excited about where this is going right now because
I mean,
proud of
no, I-
Hayden. I'm proud of Hayden, what he's doing right now.
Hey, he's changing. Even the smallest person can change the universe. I'm kidding. All right, this one's for
I
Gatlin.
think I am probably the shortest
This
person
is
in the
the-
studio.
Hey. All right, next one's for Gatlin. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Easy. Easy peasy.
You want the
lemon
choices
squeezy. No,
for
I don't
the
even want the
sake-
choices
for the
because
sake
Robert
of-
Duvall is the one who delivered the line. It's considered one of the greatest quotes in cinema history. It's from Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. Okay. You are correct.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Hayden,
Don't put this pressure on me. I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, Hayden.
this
did
is
it
not.
all
This,
come-
is, this one's very, very feasible for you.
Okay,
I
Hayden,
think
it's all up to
I am
you.
confident you'll get this one.
My palms are sweating right now.
They really are.
They look at them.
I
They're
love the
glossy.
smell of sweaty palms in the studio.
Ooh.
Now let's go.
I don't know where that's going. All right, so let's move on to the last question for Hayden. It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage. Do you want to guess it, or do you want me to read
I
it?
definitely want the options.
All right, cool. Your choices are Star Wars: A New Hope, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Italian Job, or Repo Man. See, this one was. I mean,
Oh, this is
this is tough.
I know this one because I know I see the scene in my head.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage. I know it's not Star Wars, and I know it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay. What's your choice then?
It's either between The Italian Job and Repo Man, both of which I've never seen. I'm going to say The Italian Job.
Hayden.
And by Italian Job, I'm... Man, I was so close.
I don't want to steal it, but can I just go ahead and say it?
Go ahead.
You know who says it? Han Solo says it.
That was my first... No, he doesn't. Does he really?
No, Han Solo doesn't say
I
it.
thought he said it to Princess Leia. When
Indiana Jones said it.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was Han. I knew it was Harrison Ford.
It was Harrison Ford, but it was Indy.
He says it. Which one was it?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, he says it to who's the actress in that? I remember him saying it too. He's like, not the age, baby. It's a mileage.
It's the second one, right?
Yeah, Raiders of the
No,
Lost
the
Ark.
Temple
is
Doom. No,
a-
Temple Doom is the second one.
Yeah, it's the first one. Raiders
So
of
the
the
first
Lost
one's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, cool. He said it to
The Karen
Karen Allen.
Hill, Karen Allen, yeah,
Karen
chick who
Allen,
played
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
fourth one. We don't
Did
talk
I
about.
really?
Hey, it's all right.
So, hey, but it's by one. Gatlin didn't get it right either. So
Hey,
you
you-
only lost by one. But here,
Yeah.
you know what? No, I can't because if I give you this last
I don't
question,
want.
have
I
any
don't
more.
want
we just
your.
do it for fun?
Let's
I
do
don't
it
want
for
your
fun.
trivia charity.
Let's do it
All
for
right, let's do it
fun.
for fun.
All right, tiebreak. Well, not tiebreaker. When you've got nothing to lose. You want to guess what movie that is, or
Got nothing yet, nothing to lose.
I'm looking at the options right now.
Let's
I'm
see
already
options.
defeated.
Gone with the Wind, Titanic, Forrest Gump, or American Beauty?
I honestly think it was You got nothing. You got nothing to lose. I was Gone with the Wind, wasn't it?
I think it's. I think it's Gone with the Wind, but I want to make it interesting for our fictional tiebreaker.
Okay.
And I want to say I've never seen American Beauty.
Okay.
I'm going to say American Beauty.
Well, both of you are wrong. It is Leonardo DiCaprio that said that.
Titanic.
And
Oh my
Titanic.
goodness. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Have you guys?
Maybe I should have brought some Titanic.
I almost no. Never mind. It's actually not. It wouldn't be appropriate because it's called Textanic and it's about Texas, the University of Texas. But I can't really talk
Dang
about
it.
that. 'cause,
Man,
man,
that'd have
we
been funny if it
started.
won.
We started there and we ended there, guys.
That was an amazing show.
It was.
a great
This
show.
has been an awesome show, guys. Thank you, Joel and Gatlin.
This has been
For-
a great show.
Hayden, thank you for being a gracious loser for
my gosh.
the 80th consecutive time of our show.
That's 2 wins today for Gatlin.
That's 2 wins. Man, I didn't even think I was going to win that debate.
I was tasting the milkshake.
We still have plenty of time for the rest of the semester.
And we have plenty of time because we got plenty of more shows coming up.
All right, so what an awesome episode of Real Talk it's been. Thank you for listening, guys. Please subscribe and leave a like on this video if you can. It'd be amazing. Comment on below who you thought won that debate earlier between Hayden and Gatlin. It was surely a fun episode and plenty more to come here on Real Talk. Like I said, subscribe for more awesome episodes here and for other videos on this page as well. Please check those out as well. Thank you for listening. It has been Joel from Real Talk. Thanks for watching.